For a week, Giles didn't come home. I didn't ask. I filed the divorce papers and the transfer request through official channels and started packing. I decided to return the keys to our first apartment, the small, temporary housing we'd kept for years as a storage unit, to the base housing office. When I arrived at the unit with the housing clerk, the door was slightly ajar. I heard a woman's soft laugh and a man's rhythmic, heavy breathing. Through the crack in the door, I saw a discarded USO uniform on the floor. Giles had Maya pinned against the wall, his tactical pants around his knees. He was wearing his wedding ring. I squeezed my eyes shut, took a slow breath, and pulled the door closed. I turned to the clerk. "I'm sorry. Today isn't a good day for the inspection. Let's do it another time." The clerk was a young officer. She'd heard the noises. She looked at me with a mix of pity and horror. "Colonel Miller, do you want me to report this?" I shook my head. "No, it's a private matter. Let's not bother the command." What was the point of bursting in? To scream like a banshee? To beg him to remember our years in the trenches? A man whose heart has moved on is just an empty shell. You don't fight over a shell. I hurried down the stairs, but Giles came charging out after me, his shirt untucked, his breath ragged. "Cassie, what are you doing here? What did you hear?" I pulled my wrist away, my face a mask of calm. I was dropping off the keys. The door was closed, so I left. He let out a visible breath of relief, thinking I was just being sentimental about our old place. I was on maneuvers all week, just got back. Maya needed a place to rehearse, so I let her use the key. Don't overthink it. I didn't bother pointing out the lie. I turned to leave. Suddenly, the sound of glass shattering erupted from inside the apartment, followed by the roar of a flash fire. Giles's face transformed. He grabbed my jaw, his eyes burning with a terrifying rage. "Did you do this? Cassie, I thought you were finally being rational, but this petty, dangerous bullshit? If Maya is hurt in there, I will personally see you court-martialed." He shoved me aside and ran into the smoke. I started to walk away, but then I remembered. My parents' original documents and the divorce filing were locked in the old safe in that bedroom. I grabbed a fire extinguisher from the hallway, smashed the window, and dived into the heat. The room was thick with black smoke. Giles was already carrying Maya out. When he saw me, his eyes went cold. "What are you doing? Get out!" I ignored him and ran for the bedroom. The curtains were melting. The safe was right next to the burning closet. "Cassie, you're going to die for a safe? Get out!" Giles roared from the doorway. I knelt by the safe, spinning the dial. As the door clicked open, the overhead light fixture, heavy and wreathed in flames, buckled. Giles instinctively shielded Maya and jumped back toward the exit. The blast of heat threw me backward. Glass shards sliced into my arms, blood soaking through my shirt instantly. I clawed the envelope out of the safe and tucked it against my chest. The smoke filled my lungs. The world blurred. The last thing I heard was the sound of Giles's boots running away from me and the distant, lonely wail of a siren. When I woke up, I was back in the military hospital. Giles was sitting by the bed holding the scorched envelope. Inside were 2 red booklets. "Marriage licenses? You almost died for our marriage licenses?" His voice was tight. "Cassie, you have a hairline fracture in your leg, smoke inhalation, and second-degree burns. You almost didn't make it." I reached out and took the envelope back. There were no marriage licenses in there, just the documents I needed to leave him and the proof of who I actually was. Giles watched me clutch the envelope, his brow furrowed. "We all could have gotten out fine, but you had to make it a choice."